Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be doing a reading vlog. It is currently almost 12 on Saturday 19th of September, and I only have about 10 days left for the month of September to read more books, and I really want to be able to read around 8 books this month, because that would be double the amount that I managed to get last month. There are 2 books that I want to read for book clubs. So one of them is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because the late night book club is making it its very first read, and I'm super excited to participate. I never really read that much contemporary novels, although I think this is more like in a historical type of setting, so it's going to be a bit different, which I think is maybe more to my liking. And I've heard so much about this book, only good things, and I'm super excited to delve into it. So I think this is basically about Evelyn Hugo, who is an aging and, out of Hollywood actress. Like, she doesn't play anymore, she's quite old now, and she's kind of decided to tell her story, and I guess, really the story of her 7 husbands or something. And she has chosen this one journalist woman, what's her name? Monique Grant. She has asked Monique Grant, this journalist, to be the one to interview her and, relate her story and I guess write it down or whatever and make a book out of it, or an article, I'm not sure. So this is what we're following in the book, and Monique wonders why she's the one who was picked. I think she kind of thinks there's no reason why it was her, but she's super excited, but she's not, I guess, particularly well known or anything, I don't know. So it's a little bit random, and I guess that's probably part of the mystery in the book. That's the first book that I want to vlog about for the late night book club. Very excited. It's kind of nice, it's got a beautiful cover. It is 385 pages, which I think is a good sized read. I think that's going to be fun. The other book for this vlog that I'm going to be reading is Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. I don't know why I'm speaking that weird voice. So this is, I think, a more gothic kind of feeling thriller. I'm not sure if it's a thriller or more of a supernatural type of feel book. Like more horror or anything. I think it's basically mystery. I want to call it a mystery book, whatever. I have heard a lot about this book as well. The reason I'm reading this one is for the other book club that I want to participate in, which is Books and Lala's book club called the Literally Dead book club. So I think her book club, the Literally Dead book club, focuses more on thrillers and horror books mainly, and I'm quite excited to participate in that because I really like thrillers and horror books, and they're kind of the main content I have on my TBR for the month of October. Although this is meant to be the September read, and I want to manage to finish it this month, so definitely want to read this one. This one, I also don't know that much about it. All I know is that it's got dark academia vibes, and that it happens in this place called Catherine House, which is a higher education place that is very famous but mysterious. No one really knows what goes on in there, but basically when people come out they become hugely successful, and it's kind of the appeal to the place is that if you come out of there you're probably going to be a huge success. So I think the main character just got accepted to Catherine House and is going to spend, I think it's like 3 years in there or something, and the rule is that you have to live there, you can't get out, you have to give it your 3 years of your life at that moment, and you don't have a choice, you can't go back home or whatever. From what I understand, I might be wrong. It says, what would you sacrifice to be inside? So I'm wondering if the main character did sacrifice something and that it's going to be a mystery and we're going to be like, ooh, what did she do? What did she do? And then discover it. But I don't know anything else about this book. I've literally just finished reading the 3 books I read for my historical romance series, and I'm just ready for something a little bit more dark, I think. That's it. That's the 2 books I want to read in this reading vlog, so I'm going to be vlogging about them. This intro is already 8 minutes long, so I'm clearly talking way too much, and considering there's going to be footage of me talking about the books while I'm actually reading them, I hope I'm going to be able to edit all of this shit down. I've decided not to start with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo, but I think I'm going to start with Catherine House instead. First of all, like I said, I think I'm kind of interested in having more of a grim read right now. Something a little bit darker, a little bit more moody, I guess, just because I've read so much historical romance books right now and I just want something very different. But second of all, this is not my only copy of The Seven Husbands. Here's my other one. Why do I have two copies, you ask? Or maybe you don't, but I'm still gonna answer it. Ooh, is that a spider? How dare you! It's a spider. I don't like spiders. I'm gonna have to kill you, buddy. Anyway, as I was saying, I have two copies of the book because it was my friend's birthday, and I really feel like it's a book that she would generally enjoy reading, so I kind of thought I would buy it for her and tell her, hey, do you want to kind of buddy read it and try and read it around the same time? I don't know whether she'll be reading something else maybe, and so it won't be possible, but if she's not and she's willing to read it at the same time as me, then I'd rather wait for that. So I'm gonna start with Catherine House first, and obviously I still haven't offered her the gift and given her the gift of The Seven Husbands. So once I do, then I can judge whether I should just get a head start because she won't get to it at the same time, or whether we should be reading and buddy reading it at the same time, which would be really cool and cute, and I think I would enjoy that. So yeah, that's all. That's just a small update. The spider's moving. I need to go and kill it now. Okay, bye. We're still currently Saturday and it is 11:45, so almost Sunday now, and I have reached 108, page 108 of Catherine House, the book that I'm currently reading. This is the book without the flap because I didn't want to damage it, so I kind of just take it out when it's big books like that and just kind of read without the flap cover, whatever. Currently I feel like I'm reading it pretty fast, so I would say that it's a fast-paced read. The writing is very strange, but it's not purple prosy, it's not, you know, so it's just quite easy and flowy. Like, it's not hard to read at all, and I'm kind of enjoying the writing style, frankly, because I like that kind of stuff. I like the fact that it's very easy and just fast-paced and everything. I don't know how I feel about the main character so far. So basically, when you first start reading the book, you follow Ines, who is the main character, and she is sitting naked in a bathtub in Catherine House at the aftermath of some rowdy party that she was at, and her brand new roommate baby arrives and is like a bit like uncomfortable because she's naked in the bathtub or something, and she's like reintroducing herself because I guess it sounds like Ines is very aloof and kind of just already forgot first meeting her, and so they kind of have this reintroduction scene, and then baby, her roommate, admits that she's hiding a little snail that she found in the garden because she's like, please don't tell anyone, as they're not allowed to have pets in Catherine House. And they're kind of like, yeah, let's keep him and keep it a secret, whatever. It's a very strange scene, but it kind of sets up the tone of the book in general. And then as we progress in the story, we see that Ines is pretty much the same person that she was in that first scene. She's very aloof. She doesn't give a fuck about anything. She doesn't give a fuck about her classes, about attending them. She's always like sleeping in class or skipping them, and somehow she's not completely failing, and it's kind of a mystery to me, and I'm like, girl, how are you doing that when it's meant to be the hardest freaking, you know, university that you could get into or some shit? And she says a lot of the time, she's talking about her classes being like, oh, everything is super confusing, I don't really know what we're talking about, I don't understand what this subject is. She talks about it like it's this huge mystery and that she doesn't understand anything, and yet she's not completely failing it. I'm like, how are you nailing any exam or essays or whatever that it is that you're doing during exam seasons and final seasons and all that without understanding what your classes are about? I'm so confused. That's kind of the main character, and we understand from the very beginning that something bad happened in her past after she had already applied to get into Catherine House, so during the summer, and that completely made her change her personality and who she is as a person, and kind of made her into this person who doesn't seem to care or give a flying fuck or whatever about anything at all whatsoever. Then the other element of the book that needs to be talked about, and that really isn't talked about in the summary whatsoever, so I really wasn't sure what to expect going in. I didn't know whether it was going to be more thriller, more horror, more supernatural. It was kind of just like, hey, it's kind of a dark academia vibe, university setting book, and things are weird, and that's all we know. And part of the weird things is this thing called the plasm. Plasma is kind of an element that is pretty much said to be part of everything, objects, people, whatever, life, something. And it's obviously fictitious, and it's been invented for the book, where they're using plasma pens or whatever, both on objects and on people, to repair things. And it's all part of this experiment and experimentations that are kind of famous because there was a Shiner report, because Dr. Shiner, or some guy named Shiner, made a big demonstration of him repairing a vase or something that was broken using the pens, and just the pieces fused back together or something. But then everyone was saying it was a hoax and that it wasn't true, and Catherine House was meant to stop the experimentations. So we have several references already at the beginning of the book about that, and the plasma and the Shiner report and the plasma pens, and how they're being used on people, and how they're like, Inez herself is basically like, I thought you were meant to stop the experimentations. Why is there still experimentations happening? Because she realizes that they haven't stopped. And the elite of the elite among the students at Catherine House, the people who really wanted to get in, are the people who wanted to specialize into the study of plasma. So it was the concentration, they're calling it concentrations instead of majors, but it's very much the same thing. So those people really wanted to study in that concentration, and she herself, Inez, doesn't have any interest in it and doesn't know much about it, but her roommate, Baby, is super hyper into it and really wants to get into that concentration, but apparently it's super selective, even more so than Catherine House itself, and only the very best students and the ones who can handle the pressure or whatever can get into it. That's very much the whole of the plasma mystery that we get at the beginning. So I don't really want to say much more than that, because I don't want to give any spoilers and, you know, spoil what's going to happen next. But I feel like that gives you a little bit more of information about what happens in the book and the summary, because the summary itself and anything I could find online about the book just didn't talk about any of this, and it was kind of weird. So now that I've started it, and I'm pretty much 100 pages in, so pretty much a third of the book in, I'm quite interested to know more. I like that aspect of the mystery. I want to know what is going to happen next. I have a feeling that something's going to happen with Baby. We've already discovered a bit more about the past that Inez is trying to hide and run away from, but we don't know everything just yet, just that someone died. That's pretty much all. And I am quite excited to figure out more and know what's going to happen, what we're going to discover, all that shit. There are some things in the book as well that I've marked as being kind of really weird. Like, she's extremely emo in her descriptions sometimes. I think at some point she talks about herself and she's like, my hair slunk over my shoulders in slutty waves that were dark with grease. I hated washing my hair in the tub, so I didn't. I looked beautiful, like a rotting fruit. What? And I just literally wrote, that's everything I've got to say about this book so far. It is now midnight, so I am gonna go and head off to bed, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Okay, so I have now reached page 202 of Catherine House. I have read a little bit after lunch, and now I'm 202 pages in, which is 2/3 of the book in. There's only 100 pages left or so. So I'm quite happy with my progress. It is really fast-paced, it's really easy read. I wouldn't call it fun or light or anything like that, but just because the atmosphere is so heavy and dark and weird, but the way it reads is very fast, and you kind of just, it's like you're in Inez's thoughts and you're just reading through a stream of her consciousness in a good way, because that can be really bad, but here it's more just like you get such an in-depth idea about how detached she is about everything, and you really just see everything through her eyes in a way that feels very intimate in a way. I don't know how else to explain that. It's just as weird as at the beginning, and I'm, you know, approaching the ending, I guess, what I assumed would be perhaps the climax, and I think maybe it will happen, but I just don't think it's ever gonna be really a thriller of any sorts at all. And I think a lot of people who picked this book up thinking it was gonna be more of a thriller will be disappointed. There is one student who does die, I'm not gonna say who it is, and it creates an even more weird, off-vibey type of atmosphere, but it doesn't seem to be anything mysterious or a murder or anything like that. And so it just continues on with the weird atmosphere and the, I don't know, Dog Academia vibe, I guess? I'm not even sure whether this applies there. I'm a bit confused by where the plot is going, whether it's going anywhere, and whether maybe the last 100 pages are going to change everything about that, or just stay the same, and then I'll be left with this feeling of, okay then, that was it. I will let you guys know after I've read those last 100 pages. Okay, it is Monday and I did not end up reading any more of Catherine House on Sunday yesterday. I'm gonna try and finish it today if I can, although I do have work, so obviously I'm not gonna be reading too much, but probably end of the day or something I'm gonna try and read a little bit more and hopefully finish those last 100 pages. In the meantime, I also have received these boxes from IKEA. This is one of them built, just to show you what it looks like. Here. Pretty excited. Basically it is to clean up all of this area. We have loads of crap at the bottom of these shelves. It's these big like squarey shelves, and I wanted to have just a row of like boxes at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what I've ordered, and I'm going to be just not really building them, you know, like you just unfold them and pop the bottom and that's it. I've finished the 4 boxes, they're all full of stuff. These bottles are gonna go in the cart like I said. And then I've kind of cleaned each section because it was so dusty. I have now finished Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. I have now been told there's been loads of really bad reviews about this book, and that most of them have to do with how weird it is and how there's no plot, like it's really plotless, and how the main character is really apathetic and she is super detached from everything, doesn't care about anything, which is all stuff that I have found while reading this book, but I still somehow really enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, is how I feel about the book. I really felt like the last 100 pages were becoming super poetic and a lot more about the deeper meaning of the book, and then the last 20 pages had a little bit more about one of the mysteries and kind of gave me more of a proper conclusion. But then because it was so very late towards the end, I was kind of left feeling hungry for more of an epilogue. I really wanted to know what was going to happen to the characters after all this, whether, I don't know, whether the ending was going to impact more of their lives, whether the main character was going to see the other characters again and in what context, and whether they were going to talk about Catherine House and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, it just didn't cover any of that. I was kind of left on it. I understand how the ending was necessary. It was necessary to end it a little bit more abruptly than that and to leave an air of mystery, because the whole point is this book starts in Catherine House and you barely have a glimpse of what happened before, and everything that you think you know about the characters because they talk about their past lives, you barely hear anything about it. You barely cover any of those mysteries because it's not the point. Catherine House, the idea behind the school is that you give up your past when you go in. You completely give up any notion of who you were before and your story behind, and everything that you've left behind is left behind and it just doesn't matter anymore. That's what Catherine House is meant to be doing. So I get it, but also I was left a little bit frustrated and wanting for a little bit more. I'm now quite excited to move on though and just get on to something else. So I'm happy to start with Evelyn Hugo. So this one being a contemporary novel, but set kind of in old Hollywood, so has a little bit of a historical setting, is going to be, I think, very different from Catherine House, and I'm quite excited to get to it. I am now page 106, so I'm about this much in. This is what I've read and this is what I need to read. So far, I'm really enjoying it. Like, it's really good. And I was just thinking right now, like, I need to put it down because I have other stuff I need to do right now. And I couldn't stop reading what was happening next and continuing in the chapter. And then I would be like, oh, here's the start of a new chapter. I should stop here. And then be like, I'm just gonna read a little bit more. And then one more paragraph and then one more paragraph. And it's like, girl, stop. You need to put it down. Just 1 second. So I think I'm probably gonna read it super fast, hopefully in the next couple of days, because today is Wednesday and the live show goes up on Saturday. I've marked so many things that I'm loving at the moment. I just love the characters so freaking much. I think it was Read with Cindy who commented on how she felt about the book and basically said how she felt like all the characters were super real and very well written in a way that with just a few sentences they were already woven into like a whole personality and a whole person, and you really felt what they were like. And I really have to agree. I feel like the writing style makes you feel like you're there with the characters, and basically just the way it's told. I love this personality that Evelyn Hugo is, and I want to know more about her and her life and what happens next after, you know, husband number 2 we're at. The way the book is organized is basically you have parts that are each husband, so I think there's going to be obviously 7 parts, and then in them you have like several chapters. So I think for the first husband, which is a marriage that didn't last that long, there's only like a couple of chapters, and then for the next husband, which lasts longer, there's way more chapters in that section. But so far I'm loving it. There are some passages, a couple of pages actually, where the same thing has happened, where there's like one thing that I was like, I gotta mark this in pink because I absolutely love that, that was brilliant. And then several like sentences below, literally just down the exact same page, you have a passage that is like heartbreaking and you're like, that is so sad or awful or terrible, and I'm marking it blue, and I'm just like, wow, just like 2 in 1 page, going from a high to a low in such a short amount of space, and it's so well written. I'm really enjoying that, and I'm enjoying the pace of it. So I will update you guys when I've reached, I don't know, maybe halfway point or something, or like when I'm more towards the end, and then I will let you know how I feel about the book. But so far, loving it. So I'm currently page 205 into Evelyn Hugo. It is, what day is today? It's Thursday around midday, and I just can't stop reading. So every like lunchtime and every evening that I've got, I'm just like reading the book because it's so freaking good. That's how good it is I can't put it down. I'm predicting it's going to be a 5-star for me, which makes me so happy because I've not had a single 5-star since, I think I gave a 5-star to the 7.5 Death of Evelyn Hardcastle, the other 7 Evelyn thing. There are so many moments that feel extremely quotable. So Evelyn is still telling her story to Monique, and I do like Monique's character, but every now and then she kind of irks me, and same with Evelyn. Like, I like most of her character, her personality, but then every now and then she acts a little bit, she makes poor Monique feel like crap about something she might have said, and I'm just like, you need to give people a little bit more leeway to make mistakes in what they're saying. And I feel like that's what's happening a little bit in this book, is sometimes Monique will say something that could be a little bit offensive and she doesn't realize it, and then Evelyn like immediately snaps and goes like, why would you say that, or looks at her like she's stupid. And I'm just like, people are gonna make mistake, and just give them some leeway for it, and they'll probably apologize or rectify it. I have bookmarked so many things that either made me laugh or made me love the characters, the relationships, the book itself, the writing. So this is kind of how I feel about it so far, and I'm only halfway through. I really hope that I'm gonna love the other half as much as I've loved the first half of the book, and that it will indeed be a 5-star for me, because I've just been feeling like all of the other books I've been reading so far this year have just been average. Like, they've been okay or good, but nothing extraordinary, and so far this is the only book that I've got hopes for that's gonna do that for me. I've just finished it. I just couldn't stop reading it, and I've just finished the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Let me grab the jacket. Okay, I've just finished the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and no surprise there, it's a fucking 5-star read for me. I fucking cried twice towards the end, so it did manage this feat, because not a lot of books have made me cry. I could count them literally on the fingers of one hand, so pretty good. If you like that kind of stuff. I wouldn't say it made me feel super sad either. Like, I did not finish this book thinking, wow, I'm so depressed and that was beautiful but sad. I feel like by the end of the book, it just felt like hope. Not that I need any either, because a lot of it has to do with familial love and romantic love and the different types of love that exist in the world. And I find myself to be quite lucky in that regard, so it's not like I need hope in that department, but it just felt like hopeful in general. It was just like the feeling that it left me with. And that's about it, really. I'm not gonna say much more than that, because that would be spoiling it for you guys, and I think everyone should read this book. I've actually convinced my mom to pick it up and read it as well, so I'm hoping that she will, so that we can discuss it, because I read it so fast and I'm in need of talking to someone about it, and I'm so happy that it's only 2 days before the live stream with the live show for the late night book club that's going to talk about it, so I'll have plenty of people to talk about it with. On this note, I think this is the end of this vlog. I'm about to go out, celebrate a friend's birthday quietly because COVID, so I will see you guys soon. If you like this content and if you like this type of vlog, please let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It would be really lovely. I will see you all later. Bye!